This episode is brought to you by The Build, a new podcast from the guys behind Sincera, Mike O'Sullivan and Ian Myers. They built their company by figuring out clever solutions to a few important ad tech problems in their industry. And that's exactly what this show is about. Mike and Ian interview some of the smartest tech minds in the biz to hear about how they identified opportunities, solved their hardest challenges, and grew their businesses in the process. Listen to The Build with Mike O'Sullivan wherever you get your podcasts. This is Code Story, a podcast bringing you interviews with tech visionaries.
Spent 6 months moonlighting.
There's nothing on the back end.
Who share what it takes to change an industry.
I don't exactly know what to do
took
next.
many goes to get right.
Who built the teams that have their back.
A company is its people.
The teams help each other achieve. I was proud of our team.
Keeping scalability top of mind.
All that infrastructure was a
Yes,
pain.
we've been fighting it as we grow.
Total waste of time.
The stories you don't read in the headlines.
It's not an easy thing to achieve, mind
Took it
you.
off the shelf and dusted it off and tried it again.
To ride the ups and downs of the startup life.
You need to really want it.
It's not just about technology.
All this and more on Code Story. I'm your host, Noah Laphart, and today we return with part 2 of our conversation with Volodymyr and Vitalii of Gearheart. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech Domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, I was building my startup and went hunting for that perfect .com and found next to nothing. So I did what every founder does, settled. Here's what I wish someone had told me. You're building a tech startup, just get a .tech domain. It instantly tells investors and customers what you're about. Don't overthink it. Secure your .tech domain today from any registrar of your choice. This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. Unblocked is the context layer your agents are missing. It synthesizes your PRs, docs, Slack, and tickets into organizational context that agents actually understand. So they make better plans, write higher quality code, use fewer tokens, and require fewer correction loops. If you're running Claude Code, Cursor, or any agentic workflow, Unblocked is worth a look. Learn more at getunblocked.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If your team is collecting large volumes of logs, metrics, and traces, but still struggling to get timely answers, Mesmo can help. Mesmo is an active telemetry platform that processes and enriches observability data in real time before it's stored or analyzed. That means lower data volume, lower cost, and faster root cause analysis across your existing observability tools. To see how it works, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. If you are building with AI coding tools, but your features keep breaking, you need to check out BrainGrid. It is the product management agent for AI builders. BrainGrid turns messy ideas into clear specs, tasks, and prompts that coding agents like Cursor and Claude can actually build the right way. Ship real software, not fragile prototypes. Start free at braingrid.ai.
I'm curious about how scalability for the business and for project delivery is being considered and how you set up Gearheart and how you started in the early days. And I'm also interested in if there has been interesting areas where you've had to fight scale as you've grown. And I'm not necessarily talking about technology scale for Gearheart, more of business and team.
I guess I'll tell a little bit about how I resisted scaling and then Vitalii will tell how it actually done. So as I told, I wanted deliberately to keep teams small and that was intentional. I did turn down projects because I didn't want to hire more people because I was comfortable at that size of the team, of how we work. And so I did fight that. And so when I just started working as a developer, my second job was a developer. It was a pretty large company and I was hired for a specific project that was about to start. And I left the company in about a year and the project still didn't start. And it's not because something was wrong or anything, it's just the way company operated. I was doing something in the middle. Just I was looking at the speed of how things are moving there. And I thought, okay, I'm not doing that. I cannot be in this large company that moves so slow. So I really wanted to have a small team that moves fast, and by attracting those people who are, again, self-motivated, self-organized, and really strong as developers as well, that's helped develop pretty interesting project without bloating the stuff. When Instagram was acquired, it only had 13 employees, right? So I always get this gut feeling that you don't really need a large team to make something interesting and disruptive. And I'm still convinced in that, right? So there was this part where I resisted growing the team and complicating our workflows and stuff to just for the sake of growth. So there was that part. Still, eventually, as I told, we do need, like at 40 people, you still need to have at least some level of hierarchy, organizations, reporting, things like that. And that's when I called for Vitali's help to figure that part out.
I would say that this mindset of keeping the team small was tested pretty hard in 2022 and a little bit later when the crisis hit. And we had to build proper business development from scratch. Uncomfortable, but valuable. We learned to find clients without relying on referrals alone, which is where most agencies live and dive.
This will be interesting. Your brothers, you're working together, you're transforming Gearheart. As you step out the balcony, you look across all that you've built together, what are you most proud of?
Might sound a bit obvious, but like honestly, I'm very proud of the team itself. On my shelf here, I have a small steampunk style robot figure that my team gave me for a birthday. I think it was a while ago, it was years ago. But I think that was the first time I realized I think I've built something that's alive. And I have this robot that reminds me of that. I really like the team itself and how we work. Now, in terms of like projects and technical things that we've done, that's Smart Suite for sure. That's the most complicated thing that I've built. And it's quite high load as well. Capital One Bank is using it and some other interesting names. You might want to check it out on their landing page. So there are just so many features. And if you take a look at Smart Suite, if you're using it, there is a formula engine in there in particular. It's an Excel spreadsheet formula engine, but it's more complicated than that. It's almost programming. And just know that there were many late evenings with coffee when I was just digging through logs and tuning that thing to work at scale. But that's just one part of it. There are so many interesting parts to Smart Suite that Dylan I'm proud of. Not only me, but team as well. So technically that's the thing for sure.
For me, actually, I think that it's something we are still in the middle right now. The pivot we've made over the last few years, rethinking the positioning, now started new brand, treating Gearheart itself like a product that needs to be designed and sold. It's harder and more interesting than anything we've done before. I can't point to a result yet, so I know the quality of thinking that went into it, and that matters to me.
Let's flip the script a little bit, and this could be individually or together if you have an example, but I'm curious about a mistake you've made and how you and your team responded to it.
We had a fair share of situations when something got broken in production at 3 a.m. and we are figuring it out. So there were plenty of those situations. But that's kind of part of the job and way to learn how to make reliable systems. I guess there was one moment, like there was one mistake that I'm not proud about. So we were building one of our first projects we were building that was about pretty high volume of data processing. And I made an architecture for that and we developed it. And the first version that we did, like it didn't really scale, but we ran it. And in a few days, it was obvious that it's not working like as fast as it should be working. I was like, how did that happen? And so I realized that I've made this design essentially based on my assumptions on how things will behave under load and things like I read in books and just assumed how they will work. And that was a moment I realized, okay, I cannot make guesses like that anymore, this scale. So we changed it. So we fixed it. Everything was fine. Eventually we had to redo a good chunk of that part of the project. We have great relationships with the clients, so it wasn't like a huge hit for the business or anything. It was just the part when I realized that I need to change my way of thinking when I'm making these types of decisions. And so now it's more about making proof of concept, collecting metrics, and explaining to myself why exactly I'm making these decisions, and to make sure that I'm not guessing and assuming how things will work.
We're so focused on doing great work for our clients that we completely neglected building the business itself. No pipeline, no positioning, no structure around growth. When the market turned in 2022, we felt it immediately because there was nothing underneath us. Not nothing, of course, nothing in terms of business development. The response was to treat Gearheart like a product we were building for the first time. Run discovery, figure out what we're actually for, build the positioning, create a real business development process. Actually, same things we are advising all our clients. We did it for ourselves after we were influenced by the market. And that shift actually changed a lot.
This episode is brought to you by The Build, a new podcast from the guys behind Sincera, Mike O'Sullivan and Ian Myers. They built their company by figuring out clever solutions to a few important ad tech problems in the industry, and that's exactly what this show is about. Mike and Ian interview some of the smartest tech minds at Magnite, Chalice, DoubleClick, and LiveRamp to hear about how they identified opportunities, solved their hardest challenges, and grew their businesses in the process. This show is for you if you've had some of these breakthrough moments yourself, or if you're seeking inspiration for the next one. Listen to The Build with Mike O'Sullivan wherever you get your podcasts. This episode is sponsored by Unblocked. Your coding agents have access to your code base. Maybe you even connected other tools via MCPs. But access doesn't mean context. Agents can't reason across MCPs. They don't know your architectural decisions, your team's patterns, or why the API was shaped the way it is. So agents look in the wrong place and deliver bad outputs. Then you spend time correcting. More loops, more tokens. Unblocked is the context layer your agents are missing. It synthesizes your PRs, docs, Slack, and tickets into organizational context that agents actually understand. So they make better plans, write higher quality code, use fewer tokens, and require fewer correction loops. If you're running Claude Code, Cursor, or any agentic workflow, Unblocked is worth a look. Learn more at getunblocked.com/codestory. This episode is sponsored by Mesmo. If you're responsible for reliability, performance, or platform architecture, you already know the problem. Telemetry volume is growing faster than teams can manage it. Mesmo addresses this by moving observability upstream. Instead of storing everything and asking questions later, Mesmo processes telemetry in motion, filtering, transforming, and enriching logs, metrics, and traces before they reach your observability backend. The result is cleaner data, reduced ingestion costs, and faster root cause analysis using the tools you already rely on. Mesmo integrates with platforms like Datadog, Dynatrace, and open source stacks, giving teams more control without adding operational overhead. This is especially useful for platform engineers and SREs supporting complex distributed systems where context and speed matter. To see how active telemetry works in practice, get a demo at mesmo.com/codestory. That's MEZMO.com/codestory. Today's episode is brought to you by .tech domains, and this one hits close to home. Back in 2016, when I was building my own tech startup, I went on the hunt for that elusive .com. Looked high, looked low, and guess what I found? Nothing. What I did find cost me an arm and a leg. So I did what every founder does under pressure. Threw in extra letters, settled for the less than optimal name. And here's what I wish someone had said to me back then. Noah, you're building a tech startup. Just get a .tech domain. Tech startup, .tech domain. It could not be more obvious. It tells investors, customers, and anyone who looks at your website, really, that tech is at the core of your build. And I've kicked myself plenty since, especially when I see the clean and sharp names tech companies have landed on .tech. Nothing.tech, 1x.tech, Aurora.tech, CES.tech, Ultra.tech, Alice.tech, Neon.tech, Blaze.tech, Pi.tech. You get the idea. So take it from someone who learned it the hard way. If you're building a tech startup, don't overthink it. Secure your .tech domain today from any registrar of your choice. This episode is sponsored by BrainGrid. Building with AI coding tools is exciting until the moment things start breaking. You ask for a small change, and suddenly 3 other features stop working. AI gets confused, misses edge cases, and loses track of your intent. The problem is not code generation. The problem is planning. That is why BrainGrid exists. BrainGrid acts as your product management agent. It writes clear specification, maps UX flows, asks the clarifying questions you forgot to ask, and breaks big ideas into engineering-grade tasks that AI coding tools can build reliably. It guides Cursor, Claude Code, Replit, Windsurf, and others so they deliver features that work and keep working. Founders use BrainGrid to build real AI-native SaaS products without a technical background. If you want reliable features instead of fragile prototypes, try BrainGrid for free at braingrid.ai. That's braingrid.ai.
Okay, this will be fun. Let's move into the future. What does the future look like for Gearheart? Obviously, you've shifted some focus to some new areas. That's exciting. You're working together. What does the future look like for the industry, for Gearheart, and for what you're offering?
Essentially, with introducing new brand, that partly explains how we see the process, right? So we still continue building more complicated projects as Gearheart, and we're also starting to build these somewhat smaller MVPs using AI, and making them, especially with AI, working in these 2 directions is quite different approaches. So when working on more complicated projects, we see that, at least at the moment, AI cannot replace developers and just be like an accelerator for them. Working with the more complex projects, we are looking for ways on how we can speed up our work using AI, but still maintain the same level of quality that we do there, the same level of complexity of the architecture that we have to work with on those projects, not to compromise what we're doing there. And so that's one way of using AI. And with smaller projects, simpler projects, these MVP stage especially, it is interesting that we can now, with the tools we've built, we can have our managers generate quite a lot of code and go through some initial stages of the projects really quite far before developers actually join. So it's interesting to see how that will happen, right? So we have these 2 directions that on one hand, we have Beyond the Wow, which is this AI native approach, where we start with this mindset of, okay, we are generating like all of it, at least most of it. We're just generating and we're building our processes and proposition around that. And we see how that is growing, how we can expand type of tasks and projects that we can build this way. And on the other side, we have the team that's working on more complicated projects. There's just no way right now projects of that scale like SmartSuite can fit into any model's context or anything. So it's a different approach. So it's interesting for me to see how that will evolve, if the gap will still be there, if it will become smaller, and how we can use AI more in our work.
Yeah, so there are like 2 directions, both driven by AI, but in different ways. So for Beyond the Wow, the brand we're spinning out for early stage founders, if now I mentioned that we build these MVPs, like sales ready MVPs in 2 weeks, we asking ourselves a question, what we can do to deliver it like in 48 hours or in 24 hours. And I think it's more than possible next year or so. That's where we are going with it. And talking about Gearheart and enterprise-grade platforms, I think that AI is becoming a layer that every serious SaaS product needs to be ready for. What is interesting, they all should have this clean data architecture, scalable APIs, permission models that don't break when AI agents start acting on behalf of users. It's a new version of the same hard problem we've always solved. And what we also want to achieve here and go more and more, how can we automate some development even in these huge products to AI, and to have AI agents, AI developers connected to our team. We are far from there now, but everything is moving so fast that I believe, again, year or so, and I believe it's possible to do. And to have this mixed teams with real developers and AI developers.
Let's move to the last question, fellas. So you're getting on a plane and you're sitting next to a young entrepreneur who's built the next big thing. They're jazzed about it. They can't wait to show it off to the world, and can't we show it off to you right there on the plane? What advice do you give that person, having built Gearheart, having built startups, having done all the things that collectively you both have done? What advice do you give that person?
I would genuinely want to see it, that energy is so infectious. I know it myself. When you are like, this your idea, you just bring energy in every room. So I would definitely wanted to just be near this person just to get some of this energy. But at some point, of course, I would ask, who is the one person who will pay for this on day one? Not with the target market, just name one specific person. Because if you can name them, you're still in love with the idea, not the business. And that's okay. Just know where you are.
I will just assume, as a technical person, that I'm sitting on a plane with a technical founder or technical co-founder of projects, and he's willing or eager to show me like a code and how we did stuff. If we were to give some advice to a young person at that stage, I think it's important to remember that programming and technology, it serves the business, not the other way around. I think many people, and me as well, when I was younger, we get lost in the art of things and how we build things, how beautiful it is internally, and we forgot about that part. So there will be many moments where like programming as art will be in conflict with what business needs right now, and the business should always win. And it's really hard sometimes for developers to get to terms with that, because we want to build stuff that is beautiful internally, but by the end of the day, like business always win. And it's important to have that mindset going into this business.
Volodymyr, Vitalii, thank you for being on the show today. Thank you for telling the creation story of Gearheart.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And this concludes another chapter of Code Story. Code Story is hosted and produced by Noah Labhart. Be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting app of your choice. And when you get a chance, leave us a review. Both things help us out tremendously. And thanks again for listening.
Capital One's tech team isn't just talking about multi-agentic AI. They already deployed one. It's called Chat Concierge, and it's simplifying car shopping. Using self-reflection and layered reasoning with live API checks, it doesn't just help buyers find a car they love. It helps schedule a test drive, get pre-approved for financing, and estimate trade-in value. Advanced, intuitive, and deployed. That's how they stack. That's technology at Capital One.